Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we are looking at a little 5-game slate here on Tuesday night, Nate. In this one, we are taking a look at the flying Pelicans, best team in the league, the last 10 since Zion came back, taking on the Utah Jazz in Utah. Also have another game video up for you and our player props, so make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along with us. Also want you to head to thelines.com. That's where we have all of our great written content this year and our odds finder tool that you can use to make sure you're getting the best juice back on all of those bets you make in the NBA. Nate, let's get into this little slate here and then talk about the Pelis and the Yaz.
Yeah, 5 games. Pretty interesting ones, too, I'd say. The Kings are +5 at Philly with the Aaron Fox questionable, so can't bet that line until we know if he's playing. Total at 229. The other game we talk about, Warriors are +4 at Milwaukee, still the non-road Warriors. That total's been bet up from 227 to 233 overnight here, so it's something to watch. Suns are -6 at Houston. Devin Booker's not going to play in that one. The Celtics -3.5 at the Lakers after getting held to, I believe, a season low 93. Josh nailed that under there at the Clips last night. We'll see if their offense bounces back. And then this game, Pels are -1.5. I thought it would grow to at least -3. And the total's at 233. And for me, I mean, even though they've been so explosive on offense, that total's too high because the Pelicans are a great two-way team right now. Even without Herb Jones, like their defense is absolutely incredible. And the fact that it's such a weird schedule for them right now. They go in Phoenix. Now they're in Utah, and then in Phoenix again, which is really just odd. But I mean, the way Zion trolled them at the end of that game, the Suns, by throwing down the windmill, and then they get their absolute best shot on Sunday, and Zion still controls the game and wins. I mean, he's just on an absolute tear right now. Obviously, a good reason that they're second in paint points. They now have the best scoring margin in the league. So if you want, I mean, top of the West, if you want to call them the best team in the league at the moment, I mean, considering you obviously have to look at the full picture here, and with the Celtics on an exhausting road trip, with the Bucks still struggling to find their offense at times, I at least find the Pelicans the most confident team to bet on right now. And to get them at basically a pick 'em here, -1.5, seems like a really confident spot. Utah, they're so bad at rim protection. It makes me wonder why they don't just play Walker Kessler more and just start him, because he's become quickly one of the best rim protectors out there. It almost makes you scratch your head and say, maybe if Danny Ainge was like, we're not tanking, we're going to go all out to win these games, and then somebody pulled him into a room after a couple of weeks, they're like, all right, Danny, maybe we don't want to be in the playoffs, though. Like, let's so I mean, I don't know if that trickles down to the coach and the rotation decisions, but in any case, I mean, Walker might be good against the traditional center. He's not good against the point guard now, Zion, who's a massive point power forward who's just blowing by dudes, showcasing a mid-range game, explosive second leap, and just playing at an incredible. They play at an incredible pace when he's out there. Interestingly, they're a little bit better on defense, and in the last 10 since he came back, the best defensive rating in the NBA. I credit that more to guys like Trey Murphy, Larry Nance, the unsung heroes, of course, Alvarado, who's going to be hounding Jordan Clarkson, you'd think, tonight. And just after, limiting Chris Paul and the Suns, still winning a shootout there, but when Clarkson's the most dangerous guy you're looking at on this Utah team, I mean, the Pels have a lot of bodies to throw at him. It's not a matchup where they need Herb Jones that much because there's no alpha wing for Utah at all. I guess Lauri Markkanen's pretty good, but not an alpha. So there's not much to it to me other than like bet the Pels. Even if it was -3.5, I would be all over that.
Yeah, for sure. I feel good about the Pels. I'm a little bit, I'm staying away from the total, to be honest with you, although I would lean under. But every time I say that, I look at Utah scoring 120 points a game at home, and I get a little bit scared of that. I mean, even Utah has been bad in their last 11, like you were saying, maybe they realized that that they had a pretty decent squad. Maybe they didn't even realize it, as we were all picking Jazz unders preseason for their win totals. It's maybe Danny Ainge plays some. I'm just kidding, but like what I'm saying is they probably underestimated how good their team was going to be, just as much as that we did, or almost as much as we did. When you have a team full of veterans and guys that have been around and can play their position well, Kelly Olynyk, Jordan Clarkson, Lauri Markkanen, Colin Sexton, Malik Beasley, even Mike Conley, they all scream, right, just the ability to just get their jobs done. Walker Kessler is the only one that's sort of surprised us in that way, and he's still only getting the 18 minutes a game. So I don't know how much that has to do with him being, the rook and him being ready, according to them, something we don't know, versus the really stellar performances we're seeing. But the thing that scares me about the under especially is just even in those 11 games, they've lost 8 of their last 11, 3 of their last 4, and even in those 11 games, they still have the third best offensive rating. They just have the third worst defensive rating, which wasn't as bad in their first roughly 15 games of the season. And now, over the last 11 or so, it's been just absolutely awful. 25th in points off of turnovers and fast break points in terms of allowing all of those things. Not what you want against the Pellies, who have been ramping up the defense and getting a lot more points off of turnovers. They've always been getting the fast break points, but now that they're actually playing defense and turning the ball over a lot more, it's a little bit scary for a team like Utah. I mean, the things that are going to be a problem for Utah, they are dead last in opponents' points in the paint. Pelly's second in points in the paint. Zion himself has the second most points in the paint of any player in the league, averaging about 18.7. Giannis is the only one with more at 19.2. So nothing to be ashamed of there if you're Zion. Scoring the 5th highest percentage of points off 3-point are the Jazz. I should be clear. This is another problem for the Jazz. The Pellies have been playing incredible 3-point defense and over the course of the season allowing the second lowest 3-point percentage to their opponents. The Jazz are not getting to the line. The Pellies get to the line, as we know, with Zion, and they're 7 more free throw attempts a game. 5th fewest percentage of their points off of free throws for Utah. Pellies they allow the 3rd fewest free throw attempts to their opponents. It's just not a good matchup for Utah, with the Pellies being, the representation of how Zion plays basketball. Pace, fast, go at your face and into your chest, and score within 5 feet of the basket, very often. So their defense of the last 10 for the Pellies, best defense in the league with 105 defensive rating. They are, like I said, do not allow free throw attempts. They have the 2nd best opponent field goal percentage and 10th best 3-point percentage that they're allowing in that time as well. They limit rebounds, and they get rebounds. They get points off turnovers. Like I said, they're 2nd in points off turnovers since Zion came back. So it's interesting. Without Zion, they actually allow a few more points a game, even though their defensive rating is better. They just play at such a faster pace with Zion, and that's what you want for them, I think. If you're the Pellies, just get it and go. And they're going to get a ton of rebounds every time on the defensive end because of Joval and Zion being in there, even guys like Brandon Ingram being so tall for their positions, Herb Jones being an incredible rebounder for his position on the wing. And then, their offensive rating is actually a little bit worse with Zion, but they're still scoring more points. So it's all about pace for them. They're playing incredible when they're supposed to. They're 10-7 as a favorite against the spread, but they're still winning those games by an average of 7.1 points per game. And as the away team, in general on the road as well, they're going over, but they're covering as the away favorite as well. 4-2 against the spread as away favorite, 7.2 margin of victory, 8-3 to the over as the away team, which is a reason you'd like it. But like I said, I'm staying away from the total. It's indicative of the pace they play on the road, which is 102.7, super fast. That's good for 3rd in the league. So I think there's opportunity for points here, but there's really just an opportunity for the Pels to show their road the road strengths and really put away a team that cannot match up with them anywhere near the rim at pretty much every position.
Yeah, I mean, it is an interesting trend here that the Jazz have gone under in 5 straight losses and over in 3 straight wins. So I think there is something there to say if the Jazz lose, it's because they're not able to find that kind of luck box offense, if you will. That's what I consider Jordan Clarkson being your go-to guy, is depending on a luck box. Yeah. But so Pels under 234 and the money line is getting you about plus 250, and I definitely don't hate that. If the spread is creeping up in any way, you could still go that route. Yeah, I mean, the Jazz, what do they do well? They allow the fewest 3-pointers per game, and that's just not the Pelicans' game by any means. What do they do poorly? They allow offensive rebounds and points in the paint, and so It's pretty simple in terms of like this is one of the easiest matchups for Zion to feast. That's why Josh is going to touch on him in player props as he mops the floor with Kelly Olynyk and Lauri Markkanen. If that's who Utah decides to roll out against him, that's barbecue chicken.
Barbecue chicken. I don't know what they're going to do. And yeah, I was looking at player props after researching this video, this game, and going, all right, well, all the reasons that the Pels are going to beat the Jazz are because of the way Zion plays basketball. So probably should look at Zion, who's been on a tear in the 10 games he's been back. Pelly's been the best team in the league since he's been back, and I don't think it's irrational to say what we were saying 4 games into the season where we went, wait, are the Pellies a top 3 team in the West? Oh, yeah, they for sure are when Zion's playing for them. With Brandon Ingram, for sure. Without Brandon Ingram, they still seem to be, like I said, 9-1 in the league, still playing some pretty decent comp that they're handling, including the Suns twice in a row. So seems pretty for real here and something that we can rely on. Like I said, when they are favorites, they're covering and they're winning by more than this spread is. So I feel pretty good about them handling tonight. And that is all the time we have for you guys in this one. Make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along. Coming back at you each and every weekday this regular season. So until we see you next, happy betting.